In Gen 10, do you think we're going to get another Kanto game?
Ooh. Yeah, this is kind of my pet theory.
Because
yeah, I mean, it's the 30th anniversary. I think, yeah, man, I think absolutely. I mean, I think it gets a little bit dicey when we want to talk about like how they're going to do that. I feel like in a little bit of a way, we going to Kitakami felt like not going to Kanto, but going to... It was kind of a reintroduction. It was the first time that we had like a Japanese Pokemon region, and we don't know where that land of Kitakami is in proximity to Kanto, Johto, etc. But I wonder if Kitakami and the Blueberry Academy are teases at what's to come. Blueberry Academy is located in Unova. The rumor won't die that we're getting a black and white remake. Maybe that's on the horizon, and maybe... So the timeline I'm thinking would be... Yeah, and then maybe down the line, a Kanto game comes out. So the timeline would be Legends ZA comes out, then we get a black and white game maybe mid-year, right? Or February, March, right? Kind of like when we got Legends Arceus originally in like February or whatever. And then we get the Gen 10 game. And then they could either give us... They're probably going to give us DLC for Gen 10.
Yeah.
But maybe the DLC comes sooner than we think. And then we get a Kanto game. Or, you know, we're likely going to have 4 years with Scarlet and Violet. What if we end up with 5 years or 4 years with Gen 10 and Game Freak is preparing... they're preparing Gen 10 to be more of a living game, right? I think I was going to bring that up earlier, right? You talk about like post-game not really existing anymore. The post-game that exists now is that there's like these living attributes. There's these events, there's these raids, there's these giveaways, right? There's all these like timed-based events that the Pokemon Company is drip-feeding to keep us engaged with the games over time. And I think the most logical step after that is Gen 10 lasting a little bit longer, but we have these more fleshed out and intentional DLCs that are not just like bonus packs, but are almost events in themselves, right? Like Blueberry Academy, yeah, that's fun. There's a lot of new stuff to do. It's good. But right? Generation 10, 30th year anniversary, the dream that we've had since we were kids was, and this doesn't make sense, but it could make sense in this concept, in this context. The dream that doesn't make sense is a fully open world game where you get to go to all the Pokemon regions. But a way that this could make sense is you play Gen 10, and then the DLC pack is Kanto. And that doesn't mean you do the exact beats of Kanto. It just means a world that you can visit and you can battle all the gyms. But there's no story, there's not all these other things, and maybe it's shrunk down a little bit. I just want it to be reinterpreted. And then what's right next to Kanto? Johto. Now you go to Johto, and you can get as greedy as you want, right? Maybe then we get a Unova game. Maybe then, I don't know. I'm not saying like it's a full game. What I'm imagining is the capacity. I'm imagining like the way that we interact with Kanto in the Johto games. It's post game. You battle all the gym leaders once. You go to these routes. They're a little bit truncated. They're a little bit more simple. They're not littered with trainers, right? But it's a way for us to, you know, it's like this illusion. I don't know, actually. It's not even an illusion. It literally would be. I keep wanting to like tailor what I'm saying because it sounds almost too greedy or too lofty, like it could never happen. But I don't think what I'm saying is really that ridiculous. It's just another. I mean, the Kanto region is tiny. You know, there's no massive landmarks. It's just a bunch of routes. Like, I think they could do that. I think that is not even that crazy. Because, again, it's a DLC, so you're just adding another location. You fly to it the same way you fly to Kitakami. And then you have this open biome. And you battle Brock, and then you battle Misty, and then, you know, there's some quirky little characters. Or maybe it's, I don't know, and you can scale this up or down depending on however you want to dream it up. Mm-hmm. But I think about like what's after, like what do they market after a open world game, right? Like what can you add? Voice acting? Like you can't say, oh, it's open world. We already have open world. That's not that exciting. Okay, you get voice acting. You add maybe better graphics, new Pokemon, obviously. But then I'm like, okay, well, you really want to sell a gimmick? Or you really want to sell DLC? Go back to the Kanto region, buy our game with the bundle pack, and you get to go back to the Kanto region, right? Maybe 2 years later, you go to the Johto region. It's like the same game. I don't know. Maybe that is literally insane. I don't know, but it's the 30th year anniversary. It's the Gen 10 game. It's like you want to go big or go home. That is big. That is big. And then imagine you get to slap on red version. You get to slap on slap Charizard on the box. You get to slap Venusaur on the box. You get to slap Blastoise, Pikachu on the box. You know, and then then I want ports, dude. I think ports also complements that, because then it's like, okay, you love this, but go, play the originals too. It's $5 on the eShop. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. See what you said there about Kanto being sort of just a bunch of routes and things. That is the exact reason, pretty much, why I think there is something Kanto to be had in Gen 10. I think there's a lot more color that can be added to the Kanto region. Kanto it's bare bones Pokemon. It doesn't have any sort of gimmicks to it. It's Pokemon in its most raw form. So I think there's just so much you could do in setting a game there that it takes place 10 years after the events of Red and Blue.
Absolutely, man. This is the thing that I always think about. Okay, so this is the Kanto map for listeners. This is the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee map. I love it so much with all the Pokemon, but this is Pallet Town. This is where you start, right? There's 3 buildings. I'm gonna say something here. First off, if this was re-realized in a Gen 10 engine, you could obviously add more houses, right? Make this to scale. But then also, what happens when you surf down here? There's all these rocks. Okay. We've seen in... there's so many ways they could do this. We've seen in Sun and Moon, you ride a Sharpedo and you can break rocks. Okay, great. That's a way to explain it away. Then what the heck is over here? Why can't I swim over here? What's over here? There's like new things over here that I could go explore? Or if you don't want to, maybe bend the map, you could also dive. If I could dive, then there's things underneath here, right? Or as we saw in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, you can fly on Dragonite and Charizard and whatever. So is there stuff up top? Can I check out the top of treetops? I'm just thinking, imagine the Kanto game to scale. This Route 1 can be a lot longer and more dynamic. There's trees, there's berries, there's hills, right? Then you go to this town. Great. Okay. Then whatever. But then is there something north of Pewter City, right? What about Mount Moon? That's a whole tunnel system that you could make even more. I think it's already pretty complex, but I just think about all these water routes and I'm like, if this was Paldea, then you could surf from Vermilion to the biking route or something, right? Or you could, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I just think you can bend these things to allow for new access points. The Safari Zone. And again, if we're talking about DLC, maybe Game Freak doesn't want to do DLC. Maybe the move is, why would we sell our Kanto Remake in a DLC? Let's sell our Kanto Remake as its own standalone game. And that makes sense too, but then I still think my idea stands. If you want to sell, maybe Hoenn, they don't want to remake, right? And they're like, you can go to the Hoenn region just randomly. That's still really cool, right? Yeah. Or you could go to Alola, or you can pick a region, right? I think that's a new opportunity that's been opened up. But I'm looking at the time right now. I gotta go.